Have you ever wondered where you are legally allowed to express your views, hold a sign, or gather with others to share a message? Understanding the different types of public spaces and your rights within them is fundamental to exercising your First Amendment freedoms effectively. A public forum for free speech is essentially a government-owned space that is open for expressive activity. These spaces are specifically protected under the First Amendment, meaning the government has limited power to restrict speech within them. The core idea is to ensure that citizens can engage in public discourse and debate in traditional and designated public spaces. The classification of a space as a public forum stems directly from the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, which protects freedom of speech. Courts categorize these spaces into three main types. First, there are traditional public forums, such as public parks, streets, and sidewalks, which have historically been used for public assembly and debate. The government's ability to regulate speech in these areas is very limited, requiring content-neutral rules that serve a significant government interest and leave open ample alternative channels for communication. Second, we have designated public forums, which are government properties that the government has intentionally opened for public expressive activity, even if they were not historically used for that purpose. Examples include university meeting facilities or school auditoriums made available for public use. Once designated as such, the government typically faces the same high standard for restricting speech as in traditional public forums. Third, there are limited public forums, where the government opens a property for a specific type of speech or to certain speakers. For instance, a school board meeting might be a limited public forum open only to speech related to school board business. Here, the government can restrict speech to the designated topic or speaker group, provided the restrictions are reasonable and viewpoint neutral. For you, this means you can confidently plan activities like distributing leaflets on a city street or holding a rally in a public park, knowing your speech is highly protected. However, even in public forums, reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions can apply. For example, a city might requiring permits for large gatherings to manage traffic or ensure public safety, as long as these rules are applied equally to everyone and do not depend on the content of your message. It is important to remember that these regulations must be content neutral, meaning they cannot favor one viewpoint over another. An insightful detail to consider is the level of judicial scrutiny applied to speech restrictions in these forums. In traditional and designated public forums, any restriction on the content of speech faces strict scrutiny, a very high legal bar for the government to meet. This requires the government to show that the restriction serves a compelling state interest and is narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. For limited public forums, restrictions are subject to a lower standard of reasonableness, but must still be viewpoint neutral. Understanding these distinctions empowers you to navigate public spaces confidently, assert your rights, and participate in civic life effectively. It equips you with the knowledge to discern when speech restrictions are permissible and when they may infringe upon your fundamental First Amendment freedoms, fostering a more informed and engaged citizenry.